Hey hunters, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, come in, take a seat somewhere at the front because today is gonna be fun. I was tagged in something on Twitter and I found a guy called Stephen Fitzgerald, and he has a YouTube channel called Atlantis Confirmed. He's just started it and oh my goodness, he is coming out of the gate on fire. So he has been doing some research into Easter Island, which is something that I haven't really fully researched myself. It's like on my to-do list, it's on my bucket list to go to. But I mean, I thought that I knew about Easter Island. I mean, it's the place in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, tiny little island, 3,000 miles away from sort of anywhere. Yet it has these really mysterious stone heads. Actually, they're not just heads. It was just the heads of the bit that is sticking out of the ground. They're actually full bodies, and they're called the moai. I did not know. Please tell me if you knew. I did not know that the moai bodies are fully carved on the back, like intricately carved on the back. Why have I never seen that? I mean, did you know that? Very many, that's the technical amount, of the moai bodies have intricate carvings all down their back, but not on their front. And not only that, but the carvings that are on the back of the moai align incredibly similarly. I can't speak English. Is that the carvings on the back of the moai statues are incredibly similar to the carvings on Gobekli Tepe. What? How is that possible? They were supposed to be built in different time periods, in a time when you couldn't have international travel. So why are they pretty much the same? I'm so gutted that I didn't discover this myself, but I found this guy, Mr. Fitzgerald. He's doing an amazing job. I wanted to shout him out, and I'm not going to do entirely his video because he has a lot of information, and I'm going to link the video down below so you can watch his videos for yourself. Go give him a sub because I think he's ace. But I did want to touch on this because it kind of related to something to me as well. So here we go. I'm sure you guys all know, but if you didn't know, Gobekli Tepe is an ancient megalithic site in Turkey. It was found in the 90s. I've done loads and loads of videos on it. It is pretty special in the ancient history world because it's been carbon dated to around 12,000 years ago. And that is like full fact. You can't come at me for that one, kids, because it's like the science people are okay with it. Gobekli Tepe, this megalithic, beautiful temple, whatever it is, it's full of pillars, huge 20-ton pillars that are ornately carved with like beautiful animals and people, humans. People don't really know like what they're for. We're all just like wondering like, oh, is it pretty? Is it functional? Is it spiritual? Like, what's the deal? Graham Hancock and many other people have a theory that they point to like constellations because Gobekli Tepe, like many other megalithic sites like Stonehenge, they're all aligned to the universe and the solar system and the stars. That might be why there is a correlation between the symbology at Gobekli Tepe and the symbology at Easter Island on the back of the moai. Maybe that's why. Interestingly, there's a pillar called Pillar 43. It's kind of the most famous pillar at Gobekli. It's the one with like the big eagle bird that's like holding a sun. That's my impression. This particular pillar is the pillar that is replicated almost precisely on the back of the moai. Okay, here we go. So here is a side by side. We've got the back of the moai and we've got the Pillar 43 at Gobekli Tepe. Now, at first, they look kind of similar, but like obviously different. So you're like, wait, that's not an exact copy. Which it's right. It's not an exact copy. It is not the same pillar carvings on the same thing. However, when you take a closer look, Mr. Fitzgerald is completely right. The themes are actually the same. Graham Hancock and others have called this the Apocalypse Stone because they think that it is the star constellations at the same time that there was a comet impact in the Younger Dryas period, and they might have been putting onto stone a record of what the the cosmos was doing at the time that the world basically got hit by a cataclysm. I mean, maybe it's like literally like this is the best thing that they had to a photograph of like the day that everybody almost died. Let's look at the imagery here. So at the bottom you've got the man with the missing head, and you've got the peacock emu type bird down here. Now you can't see in this photo because the photo doesn't show the bottom of the bum, but on the sketch that does show like the full Maui, on his bum he doesn't have a headless man, he just has a manless head, which is kind of the reverse icon. And then just above the manless head, headless man, you have the scorpion doing this kind of thing, which has been kind of just simplified into a kind of thong shape thing, which is basically a stick doing the same shape. And it's also doing the same thing where it's holding up the belt. So there's a kind of a line across the pillar 43, which the scorpion is kind of like holding up. And on the Maui, you've got this like very simplified scorpion holding up the belt. And then above the belt, you've got the circle image. And then on either side, you have two birds. Don't know what kind of birds they are. Not that clever. Sort of like eagle type birds. Going even further up, there's like another bird which is like different to the other birds, which they think is like an emu. I don't know. Just above the sun disk that the bird is holding in Gobekli Tepe, there is patterns, which is called the M pattern. It kind of looks like a big old McDonald's sign. Now that is actually incorporated on the bird in the same place on the Maui statue. There's a bird which is also making like an M pattern, which they think is a kind of combined of the bird that's just there on the right and the M pattern that's behind it. They've kind of squished those together and they've interpreted it. In the same way that signs, symbols, logos, you can have a very iconic logo for something, and over 100 years the logo can change and you still recognize it as that Coca-Cola logo or Mercedes logo, but the logo's changed, but it's kind of kept its symbology for what it means. And I think that is probably what's happened here, because it's just too similar to be completely a coincidence. I think the symbology and the placement of particularly of where all this stuff is, like it meant something and it was being retold, and it's like artist interpretation after artist interpretation. Then we have the three handbags at the top of the Gobekli Tepe. And you'll see this in civilizations all over the world. There is icons and symbology of men holding these man bags just everywhere. You have them in India, you have them in South America, you have them in Egypt, you have them in Turkey. Like, what are these man bags and what do they represent? Graham Hancock thinks that they represent drugs, and that like you hold the key to the universe and the world with your like kind of ayahuasca, your blue lotus. Very well could be, because you do get a lot of answers and a lot of questions with those kind of recreational drugs. However, there may be a much closer argument for saying that these bags are actually sacks of babies. I know, okay, let me explain, because that just sounded really weird. If you look more on the Moai statue, you've got this like long body with a head with a face, and this really long skinny body with a little butt at the bottom. And there's one on each side. There's like a female and a male, and then there's three like sacks that are in between them, like up here. And there is also three sacks, bags, on the top of the Gobekli Tepe statue. In the ancient Aborigine tradition, there is a goddess called Yingana, and she is always depicted as a dragonfly with like a tall, skinny body with like a little booty and a face, and she's always carrying her sacks or bags of babies, because a dragonfly's job is to hop around and leave their little sacks of babies everywhere and basically start little families everywhere, which is the origin tradition that the Aborigines had for humans, that there was this goddess who was a female called Yingana, and she basically started or restarted human civilization by plopping all her babies everywhere. And the more that you look for the icon and the symbology of Yingana all around the world, you can find her. It's freaky that once you kind of got that image in your head, when you're looking, you will now see Yingana in a lot of ancient places. I'm getting so excited because the best bit, like, I haven't even told you like the weird best bit yet. Could this tablet be interpreted like an artistic interpretation of the apocalypse constellation, the moment in time, the snapshot of the stars when this huge cataclysmic event happened and nearly wiped out all of humanity? Could this be the story image of that? And not only that, does it also tell the story of the mother goddess Yingana, who is carrying her bag of baby humans and is helping to restart, repopulate, and sow the little baby seeds of humanity? I mean, it makes sense. We're back. Sorry, dog. Sorry, bless him. So now there is symbology that links Gobekli Tepe with Easter Island and Gobekli Tepe with Australia. And it's not the first time that Gobekli Tepe has been linked to Australia. There are some other pillars there which have incredibly similar tribal markings to the indigenous people of Australia. Like incredibly similar symbology that is there. Again, there's like a little bit of an artistic interpretation, but essentially, out of all of the shapes in the world, it is a bit crazy that the ancient Aborigines and the ancient people of Gobekli Tepe shared very similar symbols. That is also not the only link between the Middle Eastern ancient world and Australia. Ben from Uncharted X did an amazing video on the Gosford Glypths. If you don't know what the Gosford Glypths are, I'm going to link that video as well in the bottom. But in a nutshell, there are these amazing hundreds and hundreds of Egyptian hieroglyphics that have been kind of crudely drawn into the a rock face that was found in the outback of Australia. And when you translated the whole of the writings, it translated as a story from survivors of a shipwreck from ancient Egypt. They sailed to Australia for trade, and when they tried to turn back, they got caught in a storm. Their ship overturned, and like loads of people died, and there was the captain and a couple people left, and they decided to try and honor their dead in the ancient land. And so they were ascribing? They were writing hieroglyphics on the back of this rock where they probably laid the bodies to rest thousands of years ago. Loads of people wrote it off as a hoax, but Ben lists a whole load of reasons why I think that it should probably be looked into again, because when you actually do some proper translations, some of the hieroglyphs are written in like a kind of slang that only ancient Egyptians would have known. Like these, some of the hieroglyphs weren't even put into the official hieroglyph dictionary until 2010, and the Gosford Glypths were first found at least like 70 years ago. So how the hell would somebody in the outback of Australia know Egyptian hieroglyph slang that hadn't even made it into the official like book? And also before the internet. Like, do you know what I mean? There's something fishy in there, you know, and it's not fish. So now we have Gobekli Tepe linked to Easter Island, also linked to Australia, which is also linked to Gobekli Tepe. So they're all kind of doing that. Also linked to Ukraine. There is imagery of Yingana that has been found in ancient Ukraine. I have a feeling that this Yingana, like I said before, Yingana, the imagery, the iconography, it is showing up all over the gaff, all over the world. If you can find Yingana in other places, in other imagery, please tell me below, because I'd like to collect like a big list of all the places where Yingana shows up. And I'll tell you one place where Yingana showed up, which I was not expecting, on my body. Yeah, so as I was researching this, like late at night, I looked down, I was wearing shorts, and I looked at my tattoo that I designed myself about 5 years ago, before I was even like really into any of this stuff, and I had no idea about any of this. I designed a tattoo for my leg, and I, for some reason, just love dragonflies. I really liked dragonflies, and I really wanted to get one tattooed. And I always thought that was going to be my first tattoo. It's going to be a dragonfly. And then I looked down at my leg and I saw it's Yingana with the sun symbol, which is also on the Gobekli Tepe, and a pyramid. It was one of those moments where I was like, I mean, I'm not too much into the kind of like woo-woo of the universe. I did admit then, I was like, oh my God, I have Yingana on my leg. And like 5 years ago, I wasn't really interested in the pyramids. I didn't know about symbology. Why did my brain pick this image? So, in a nutshell, that is what I found out. Please go and subscribe to Atlantis Confirmed, because I think his channel is brilliant and I think that his research is brilliant, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. What do you guys think? Can you see the symbology? Can you see the similarities, or is it too different for you? Just let me know. Let me know in the comments, as ever. Please like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and tap that little subscribe button. Also tap the bell, because there's so much going on YouTube and the internet nowadays that sometimes you don't know when I've dropped a vid. So if you press the bell, then it'll notify you. I'm gonna go back in and do some research now. I've also been researching a hell of a lot into Denisovans, and like the origin of kind of the human species, and that is a whole kettle of fish. Again, with the fish, why is it always fish? I gotta go. I can't end YouTube videos very well, so I'm just gonna love you and leave you. Happy hunting. I will see you in the next video. Oh, there's a fly. You went away for the whole video and you just come back now. Get away, get away. Shh.